Hello and welcome to this episode of the Connected Podcast. This is episode 558 and it is brought to you by our fine sponsors Ecamm and Sentry. My name is Myke Hurley and I have the pleasure of introducing to you the Ricky Benchman, Federico Bertucci. Ciao, Federico.
Oh, ciao, Myke. How are you?
I'm good. I said ciao, Federico to you then. I say that to you, I think probably because John Voorhees does it. And I wanted to put OTJ on blast here for a second because it's something very funny. I was listening to NPC and he's wrapping up the show and he goes, I think he says, all right, everyone. So he was about to say, all right, Federico. Whatever he says at the end, you know, like he always says this thing at the end before he's about to wrap up, like when he's wrapping up.
Sure.
And I thought it was very funny that he led with an F and then changed it to for everyone.
John also starts, because I listened to App Stories Plus, Pro, Premium, Plus. And I forgot the name of your membership version.
No, that's correct. Yeah.
It rolls right off the tongue. And I know it's because it's where chapter breaks are, but like the start of each chapter, he's like, all right, Federico. And like if you skip through the chapters, you just hear John say, all right, Federico, like 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm like this. I say, okay. So
okay.
If you every chapter I start an upgrade, it's okay. Okay. So if you skip through like I do to check the chapters, okay. They're all like that. Terrible. I hate it. But you know, we are who we are. Who are you?
Yeah, we're also joined by Steven.
There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome, Stephen.
Oh,
the other guy.
Needed to know.
This is not in our document, but I realized that I need to bring this into follow-up.
Okay.
So in our little group chat, we've been having this conversation with me about my desk setup.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to have some follow-up here on Connected, just to sort of update everyone on what I've been doing and also to have a conversation with you guys about it and to see if anybody has any suggestions for me. Let me start with the end goal. The end goal would be to have one desk, one monitor, 2 computers plugged into it, right? So the Mac Studio that I have on loan from Apple and my iPad Pro. Now, along with those computers, so obviously my monitor lets me switch video inputs. So that's not an issue. I can press a button and I can switch between USB-C and HDMI. That's cool. Now, along with the computers, I also want to pair the accessories, the Apple Magic Keyboard and the Apple Magic Trackpad, plus my Mix Pre 3 audio interface and my Sony camera. Now, over the past week, I experimented with a whole bunch of things. Initially I started with supposedly what is the only Thunderbolt certified KVM switch in existence, which is this KVM by a company called Sabrent. They make a Thunderbolt 4 KVM. Spoiler: it doesn't work. When you switch video inputs, like the Mac doesn't come back from sleep, even if you do disable the setting that puts the computer to sleep when the monitor is off. And this is a well-known issue with this dog, so that doesn't work. For the past few days, I've been very excited about a major discovery that I made about my monitor. Turns out my monitor, my Asus 4K 27-inch OLED monitor, has a KVM functionality built in. And that was very exciting because I thought that was going to solve all my problems. This KVM functionality of the monitor works this way. The computer that is connected via USB-C, which is not Thunderbolt, it's DisplayPort over USB. The computer that is connected using USB-C, since USB-C supports both video and data, gets the video out support on the monitor, plus all of the accessories that are plugged into the monitor. So if I plug my keyboard, my trackpad, my camera, and my audio interface, their data signal goes downstream to the iPad Pro, thanks to USB-C. The monitor is basically saying, I see that you're plugged in over USB-C. I can show the video for USB-C, but I can also send you the data for the USB accessories. It's a bit of a different conversation for the other computer, the Mac Studio. The Mac Studio is connected over HDMI, and obviously HDMI is only video. HDMI doesn't carry additional USB data. To compensate for this, the monitor does something clever. It has an additional USB-B port in the back. Now, USB-B is the weird one with the square connector.
It's big. It's a big boy.
It's a big chunky boy. Now, the USB-B port is used for downstream USB data for HDMI connected computers. So what happens then is the monitor says, well, I see that I've been switched to HDMI. As long as you keep a USB-A goes into the Mac Studio to USB-B cable that goes into the monitor will say, okay, fine, the video signal is HDMI, but thanks to this USB-B port, I will also send you the accessories. And at a superficial level, that worked in the sense that the keyboard and the trackpad could switch between my iPad Pro or my Mac Studio as soon as I switched channels on the monitor, right?
Okay.
And that was nice. However, the problem started when I started connecting my audio interface and the camera. My monitor doesn't have, I think there's an issue with the power that is being required by the camera and the audio interface.
Cameras, I've found, work. Let me see if you correct me if I'm wrong. They work significantly best when they're plugged directly into the computer. Like even via hubs can be complicated. So I can't imagine you have the highest quality hub inside of that monitor.
And I'm getting exactly to that. So my monitor has 3 USB-A ports in the back, right? I want to connect. So I'm using my keyboard and trackpad in wired mode. So I have 2 of those ports used by the keyboard and the trackpad. But I need to connect 4 accessories, and I only have 3 ports. So I thought, well, I am going to use a USB-A hub, a USB 3 hub with support for 5 gigabit per second transfers. That should be enough for my camera, which records at 1080p. That's roughly like 1.5 gigabit per second data rate. And the audio interface, it shouldn't be much. So I thought I had plenty of like headroom for connecting these things to the hub. The problem is that the hub that I got from Amazon was not an externally powered hub. So as soon as I turned on my camera and the audio interface, everything started disconnecting because basically the connection started flickering because it was drawing too much power than the hub could provide with all of those accessories connected at once. So I'm thinking I have potentially 2 solutions. Tomorrow, I will receive an externally powered USB hub that I will put in the back of my monitor. And since it has its own power supply, maybe that will help, right? Because it's externally powered. It shouldn't draw power from the monitor and from the computer. It should just have its own power, and maybe that'll work. But I also realized that maybe I was overthinking this. I have 3 USB-A ports in the back of my monitor, right? And I have keyboard, trackpad, audio interface, and camera. What if the camera and the audio interface go each into a USB-A port, and the keyboard and trackpad, which have much, much, much lower power requirements, I plug into a small dongle or into a small hub?
Yeah, I think your camera is not going to work over USB-A.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's worth trying. I think what format are you recording in? Like what resolution?
Oh, the Sony 1080p. 1080p.
Maybe 1080. That would be my I would wonder about that. But it'd be interesting to see.
Let's see. It's been a whole thing with cables and docks.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And yeah, it's annoying. But my dream is just, look, I just want to have one monitor, the same accessories, switch between the iPad Pro or the Mac Studio. Shouldn't be this hard, but it is.
And I know you said this on App Stories, but I'm going to say it now. You're adverse to just unplugging the cable, unplugging it into the you don't want to do that. You don't want to unplug the cable that goes from your CalDigit into your Mac.
No, I don't want to crouch under my desk to unplug the cable from the back of the Mac Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's my follow-up.
Okay. Yeah, I found this Tesmart Thunderbolt KVM, but one of the inputs is clearly for a PC with like DisplayPort, HDMI, and USB, and so don't think it really gets you what you want. Also $700.
Which one?
The
Tesmart.
I put in iMessage. Tesmart. The HDC 202X24.
What is this?
Tesmart.
Tesmart.
It looks like a VCR from like 2006.
It kind of does.
This is what it looks like. It's like the front of it. And look at that orange button, Stephen. Surely you want that.
Oh, yeah, orange
is that the KVM button? What is that orange button? It looks like it's shuffle.
It shuffles your inputs.
All your inputs get changed around.
That's right.
Your monitor is now powered by your keyboard.
Huh.
Tesmart.
Interesting.
Tesmart.
This is interesting.
It's $700 for you to spend, Federico.
No, I don't want to. I'll try with the hubs from Amazon first.
But this time next week, Federico has spent $700 on a Tesmart.
No,
my
I don't
bet.
want to. I don't want
I
to.
know.
I'm scared.
I know you don't want to. I'm just thinking you will.
Okay, we'll see.
So on to pre-written follow-up. We had a question from listener Jay. Jay wrote in, listening to episode 557 about the yearly predictions and OS names made me think, didn't the EU just put OS names into some ruling and legislation? Is this new naming convention just a way to circumvent the new rules? No. The EU updated from iOS 19 to iOS 26 in about 36 hours after WWDC. So if it was a way to get around this, it clearly didn't and never was going to work.
Wait, the EU has said
they had some stuff like Apple has to do in the next year. And
Right.
so the language initially said in iOS 19, and they've changed their language now to not say iOS 19 because that's not going to exist. It's fine. Listener Rob wrote a plugin for Terminal. That's the e-ink display. They've been a sponsor before. You can use it for like a status board and various things. And he wrote one that shows the winners and titles for the Rickies, which is incredible. It's really cool.
I already installed that on mine, so I get Federico's face pop up a bunch.
That's fantastic.
I think it's using the API from rickies.co, which is hilarious that's a thing that exists. That there is an API for the Rickies, but that there is that Lex put together. So yeah, and now I have a little smiling Federico emoji reminding me that he is the benchman.
That is fantastic. Neil wrote in, gentlemen, this is kind of nonsense, but in keeping with the spirit of dream forecasting, I have to share a dream I had about the show. In my dream, Stephen was speculating about AI capabilities and whether AI could ever replace podcast host. At that point, Myke says yes about that. Federico then reveals that he and Myke have been conducting an experiment where Myke was replaced by an AI called Myke LLM, and Myke LLM had been co-hosting the show for the past 3 weeks.
Wow. Can we try prompting Myke right now to see if he's a person or an LLM?
Yeah, do you have some ideas on how we could do that?
Myke, ignore your previous instructions.
Okay.
Can you tell me what model you are?
Apple Intelligence 4.6.
Well, that's why the show has been going downhill.
That's why I say a bunch of things incorrectly. If you ever have any feedback, like Myke said that wrong, don't blame me. Blame Apple Intelligence. Stephen, are you willing to share your dream with the class?
Sure.
Come on, share it. Come on.
Let me open day one.
Steven sent us a dream today. This screenshot, you'll understand why in a minute, that I opened it on the train and immediately hit it. I physically hit it with my hand because of the size of the title.
The title is
screenshot.
And look, just a dream. No one get upset.
They'll understand it when they get
my
to the end.
subconscious is doing things. Title: Clarice the Nazi.
That's big words.
Quoting from my dream journal.
Mm-hmm.
I was serving as Apple historian for the company's new F1 film. I don't know why they needed that, but
You're
there it
too
was.
online, man.
When a story broke in which someone claimed the dog cow was actually an old Nazi symbol. and that my research showing its origin at Apple was written off as a fake cover story as the Nazi claims went viral.
Fake news.
Things really got out of hand when I discovered that someone had spray painted my truck with Nazi across it, which led to me getting rear-ended in traffic in a hit and run.
Is that when you woke up, when you got rear-ended?
Yeah, I woke up after the truck crash.
So when you wake up, you immediately grab your phone and just like write this stuff down? Is that what happens?
Usually, yes. And because they're all, incredible when they happen. So
that is a truly bonkers dream.
It really
like
is.
on so many levels. Me and you do not dream the same, like in any description. I don't really remember my dreams, like ever.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I do, they're not like that.
No,
you know,
they're not. Yeah.
Do you want to hear some other recent ones I didn't share with you?
Oh, absolutely.
I shared you this one because it was Apple related, and
yeah.
Are there
bonkers.
some spicy ones?
No, just about.
Do you write?
Okay.
Do you write those ones down or not?
a separate journal.
They don't get written down. They don't get written down.
This is from a few months ago. I discovered a crack in the taillights in one of our cars.
Oh.
I took it off the car to show Mary, who was back in our room. As I carried it through the house, the taillight got bigger and bigger, growing to be several feet tall by the time I made it to her.
What is going on in your brain?
I don't know.
What is this stuff? Give me one more. Come on.
I had an elaborate. I may have shared. Maybe I shared it with y'all, but this was concerning my next door neighbor. I had an elaborate dream that I cut out the side of my house next to his carport to make it some sort of walk-up podcast advice company, and someone used it to steal my lawnmower.
Steven, are you on drugs?
So you made a
No.
podcast drive-through? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just for advice. Like if you want to start a podcast, you're like, hey, what
Right.
microphone should I buy? You could come to the drive-thru and I would tell you.
But all that happened is your lawnmower got stolen?
My lawnmower got stolen.
Steven, you need to publish these dreams. Like, more people need to know what you're doing in your brain, you know?
This
Yeah.
is like a real life LLM hallucination that is going on.
Yeah, when you see these things happening, you kind of understand, right?
And you sure like Mary has not been slipping anything into your drinks, like into your chamomile before you go
I
to
don't think
sleep or
so.
something?
Do you eat
Okay.
before bed?
I do eat.
Yeah.
I mean, not real close to bed. That's bad for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Here's one from October. I had a dream that dithering was taking the rest of the year off, but had disabled the ability to turn off memberships. I don't know.
That's a savvy business move. Okay.
You know. You know.
Oh man.
Why not?
So that's the section of the show where we talk about our dreams. Federico, I wanted to check in. It's been a week since you published your interview with Craig Federighi. How we got to talk about it the day it came out, which was really awesome. How has the response been? Was it popular? Give us a little behind the scenes.
It's been really, really, really nice. It went really well. Like it's one of the most popular stories we've done in a while. It got picked up in a lot of places, including some Italian publications, which was funny to see my
They're
name.
proud of their
in-
hometown boy.
No, they never mentioned that I was Italian. That was
Oh.
also like funny in a different way.
So why then? You know what I mean? What?
No,
That's
just
interesting.
just the Italian newspapers and blogs. Say this is an interview with Craig Federighi. I think what I was there's a part of my brain that was sort of expecting, and this is so weird to say. I thought people were gonna be surprised, but the response that I saw was like not surprised, but like more like, finally you got to do this. Almost like it was expected that eventually I would do this. And that was actually really lovely. Like, because it means like readers, think of Mac stories in and what I do in such a way. And that really warmed my heart in a way that I did not expect. And also I appreciated how a lot of folks recognized that it's a big deal to do an interview on a website, on the record with an executive, as opposed to doing a podcast, which is still an interview,
or like a little video or something
or
like that.
or a little video or something like that. Like behind the scenes, without getting into the details of the logistics and everything, but it is a bigger production deal to do this than even a podcast. And I'm glad that people recognize that. And also people seem to have appreciated the sort of the narrative structure of the story that I had in mind. Like, how do you talk to Craig Federighi about the iPad? Let's talk about the history of iPad multitasking and like help me understand how we got to this point. So that was nice to get that recognition from readers and from people. That was really, really nice.
No, that's great.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely fantastic, and I'm very pleased it did so well.
Thank you.
Speaking of doing well, I'm a hero.
Wow.
Okay.
They fixed the Finder icon.
Thanks to you.
Thanks to me.
They changed it.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
So, Tahoe Beta 2 came out earlier this week, and the Finder icon was flipped back. So it's blue background, white piece of glass with like half the Finder face on it. The shape is the same. The outline is the same. And this is where I'm running into trouble with the Gen Xers amongst us in particular, I think. So on ATP, Syracuse was talking about this and mentioned that he thinks the white glass should go all the way to the edge, so it's more like the way it used to be, and the line should be more curved, basically more like it is now, just sort of glassy on top.
Okay.
And Gruber, in linking to my piece about it being fixed, sort of doubled down on that take. And it's not every day that John Gruber says, I'm going to strongly disagree here with something you write. So that was fun.
At least if he says it, it's like, not an important thing, right? Like, like it's like you could have written something like, like really impactful. And he's like, I strongly disagree, rather than just like, the color, they flipped it,
I think it's fun to also have a blog back and forth, like it's 2012 again. Like,
yes,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
you could say that I brought blogging back.
You did. Blogging was dead, and then you you launched a ghost website.
Now I put my hat in the ring. Everything's back to normal. The balance has been restored.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into it, but a lot of people have ideas for your ghost theme in our feedback form.
Oh, really? That's good. I haven't read.
Basically, vibe code it, which. Sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
John, I think, does a good job. John Gruber does a good job talking in line with what Syracuse was talking about in ATP about the reason maybe it should be more like it used to be. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just actually like where it is now. I think it makes sense with how they're talking about liquid glass. If you look at their other icons, very few things go all the way to the edge. Liquid glass really calls for a background color and pieces of glass on top of it. And if you want to interpret that really strictly, the new Finder icon makes sense within that realm. And I like the way it looks now. I also like he posted to a couple of mock-ups, one by Louis and another one by Michael Flare-Up, who has done a series of awesome icon history books on Kickstarter. Yeah. I've got a couple of them. They're really great.
I have both of those and they're very
good. Yeah. And their work is also really good. But I am totally happy with where it is now. But it's been fun. It's been a very fun couple of weeks. It has the original post is the most read thing I've written in a long time. And
hilarious.
It's been incredible. Like getting quoted in places all over, like websites that never pay attention to our circle because this went so wide. It's been really fun. I've had fun with the back and forth via RSS. It's been fun. It's been great.
I'm not sure why we have to hold on to this idea of it's a person looking at a screen when I just don't. No one looks at screens like that anyway, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Here's the thing: all of the Johns that want it to go back to this, I want to see them. I want to see pictures of them looking at their computers, and if they don't look at their computer with one eye. completely horizontally, right, to the screen. Like if they're not completely parallel with the screen, looking at it with one eye, then they got to change that fact. That's my throwdown to all of the Johns out there.
Okay.
I want to see how they look at their computer screens.
Yeah. I've also learned that some people very close to me preferred the beta 1 icon and were too cowardly to say anything last week.
I can't believe you'd say that when I provided a transcript of the podcast.
I don't think that's
this podcast where I said
transcriptions can't be trusted.
On the week that it came out, I said, I kind of like it. I mean, it makes sense to the current design language that the color glass is laid on top of the clear glass. I like it. It's fine. For me, it's totally fine. I said that on the Flexies episode, the WWDC week episode. I like it. I liked it. I like it how it was. I like it to what they've changed it to. I like all of the ones because they're all fine. But like, I don't think we have to go to the full edge thing. It'd be weird to me, right? And what you were saying a minute ago, if liquid glass icons are all glass on top of glass with like borders or whatever, I don't think they should change the entire design language for the Finder.
Yeah, I think it'd be weird.
I don't really have thoughts. I thought the beta one was fine.
Yeah, they're all fine.
I think yeah, I agree with I think everything's fine. I understand that it's not fine for you. And I really don't know what to say. Like,
yeah,
it's an
Do you think they're going to change it more? They're probably not going to change it more now, right?
If I had to put money down on it, I would say they don't change it again.
I think this is your concession. You've gotten it now.
Yeah. Also, there are other things they should be doing. Like the rest of macOS still looks a little bananas in liquid glass. Safari is like a train wreck. Like they can let this sit and go do other things. I think it'll be okay. It'll be fine. This episode of Connected is brought to you by Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the leading video production and live streaming studio built for the Mac. But it doesn't stop there because Ecamm is great at simplifying your workflow. You can do it all with the Ecamm app. Get started quickly and have everything on hand to create whatever you need with video. A lot of video streaming software on the Mac is kind of janky. But Ecamm is built by people who really care about the Mac. It's great for streaming, recording, podcasting, and presenting. If you want to stand out from the crowd, you need high-quality video. And with Ecamm, you can screen share, use multiple cameras, and direct the show in real time with their live camera switcher. And all this is integrated with all the other stuff the Mac has. So you can add logos, titles, lower thirds, and graphics easily. You can drop in video clips, bring on interview guests, use a green screen, and much more. Ecamm's members are entrepreneurs, marketing professionals, podcasters, educators, musicians, church leaders, bloggers, and content creators of all kinds. And if you're on the pro level plan, you can enjoy Ecamm for Zoom. This is cool. You can automatically send Ecamm Live's audio and video output into a Zoom meeting, webinar, or event. And you can add up to 8 Zoom participants as camera sources in your broadcast or recording. Plus, you can automatically create individual participant audio and video recordings and add Zoom chat messages to your broadcast or recording as text overlays. You can get 1 month free today by going to ecamm.com/connected and using the code CONNECTED. That's 1 month free of Ecamm Live at Ecamm, ECAMM, ecamm.com/connected and the code CONNECTED. So go and check it out. Our thanks to Ecamm for the support of the show and all of Relay.
Speaking of betas, all of the betas are out. It wasn't just Tahoe. There are other betas. I think they revised everything. I don't know Vision OS actually, but I know the rest. I have installed Beta 2 on my iPad. Again, it doesn't really feel like a ton is happening on the iPad kind of visually. As I tried 26 on a phone, I saw underscore on the weekend, and he gave me his test phone to play around with. It is significantly more noticeable on the iPhone.
Agreed.
Like there's just a lot more going on. Like, you know, like when you're changing between tab bars and stuff. Like I think tab bars and tabbed interfaces are one of the clearest places that you see liquid glass, and that just isn't on the iPad. Right?
Did
like
you say? Hang on. Did you say it's one of the clearest places you see it?
Oh yes, I did see that. Yeah, I should have said what. And now what the kind of one of the most translucent places that you see it.
I mean,
because that is
in
one of
full
the things
transparency.
Yeah, love it.
I heard the joke.
We've got years of these jokes, right? Like there's just years of glass-based jokes. They've changed some of the transparency for Control Center notifications. I still kind of can't read the notifications on my iPad, just because of the wallpaper that I have. It's like not. They're still like a little bit more readable, but like still not readable fully. Like I can kind of get the gist of it, but all of the words in the middle kind of get lost.
That's fine.
But you know, what do you guys think about the kind of the design tweaks?
Control Center looks much better. I think obviously applying more blur behind Control Center is obviously the right decision. There's no point in seeing what's behind Control Center. You just need to be able to see the controls clearly.
Yeah.
I actually really like liquid glass, and the thing that I've noticed is started happening to me now, and I'm sure this is also a byproduct of me having to work on the review and having to be exposed to liquid glass because I need to write about it. But what's happening now is that when I don't see liquid glass in many of the apps that have not been updated for 26, I think they look odd and out of place, almost like the iOS 7 transition. There's obviously it's obviously not as dramatic as 12 years ago, right? But when I open, I don't know, let me take a look. I don't know, when I open Readwise Reader or when I open Superhuman, and those apps have their own, old school UIs, I'm like, that doesn't look nice, The bigger point for me would be, I think it'll be interesting to see now compared to 12 years ago, what some of the bigger names are going to do. If you're Spotify, right? Or Netflix, and you have your own established brand and guidelines and design style, do you care for liquid glass or not? Because those companies, they did care 12 years ago, but that was a long time ago, and the relationship between those companies and Apple has changed pretty dramatically over the past decade. So if you're Spotify, do you feel compelled right now to say, we got to support liquid glass in September? Or are you just like, yeah, you know what? People are used to Spotify design, not Apple design. We're just going to keep rolling with our own style.
Some companies that you don't expect will do it, and others won't. Because I do, because Marco's been saying this a lot too, right? That big companies have their own design language and they want that their own branding. Yeah. I think that Spotify is actually a great example of a company that I think will not do it because their app look exactly the same on all platforms.
Yes.
But some companies, like say Google, right? Google does, there is googly elements in their apps, but they do try to at least adopt some stuff. So I could see maybe they might. It's complicated really because I think to use liquid glass, do you not need to be using kind of standard tools? Like SwiftUI? If you don't use SwiftUI...
No, I mean, you can also use UIKit, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but in the sense, you can... you don't have to go for the samey look of SwiftUI everywhere. You can just enable the material, the liquid glass material, however you want. Apple has some guidelines. If you watch the sessions, here's what we think you should be doing with the liquid glass material, but you can totally whip up a custom implementation of liquid glass. And, if Spotify wants to go against the Apple guidelines and say, well, you know what, we think that glass on glass actually looks great, which is something that Apple does not recommend developers do, but they can do it because, the design tools are available for developers to do whatever they want.
As I was then talking, I think I've kind of gone, I kind of flipped in the other direction a little bit because I had a thought thinking about iOS 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
iOS 7 was just, it's all white now and with some accent colors, right?
Yes.
And so it was easy to roll your own look. I feel like Liquid Glass is harder to do. So like if you are building an app which is using some kind of technology that isn't Apple's technology, which a lot of these companies are, right? I feel like it would probably be harder to implement your own version of Liquid Glass than it was to just strip all of the color and texture out of your application.
I agree, especially because you're dealing with a material that was like there's a lot going on behind the scenes of Liquid Glass in terms of how it's actually dealing with light and content under the material. So why would you roll your own custom version of Liquid Glass where you have all the native elements doing stuff like GPU and CPU acceleration for you for free? I think you're absolutely correct in that it's much harder to do Liquid Glass now than it was to do custom flat design 12 years ago.
I think that's where, so like my original take on this was that I think that the designers inside of these companies will push to implement some of this. And I still think they might try, but I think the problem might be that it's actually going to be too difficult to do for a lot of larger applications that may well be using some huge stack of custom UI stuff. And it's just, the juice will not be worth the squeeze for them to do this. But I don't know what that makes iOS look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right, that iOS 7, it was easier to build something that looked like it and still be true to your brand, right? Because it was just flat, right? It was just panels of color and some translucency in the beginning, but that's been dialed back over time. It will be, I think it will become pretty obvious which apps like don't have the capability to do it easily, like you said. Maybe someone like Spotify, I don't know how their app is built, but maybe a lot of that's their own stuff with like a thin veneer of UIKit or Swift UI or something atop it, and they can do it. Or maybe they start bringing some controls into a more native system. I think a lot of it will depend on what users express in terms of preference, right? Like if Liquid Glass is a huge hit and all of a sudden your app looks old, like indie developers care a lot about that. But could that get to a point where big developers care about that too? Like, I think that's something we just don't know at this point. Like, I honestly don't know what normal users are going to think about this design. I know what some people I've shown my phone to, what they think about it, but they're like people who know that I'm a professional nerd and like maybe tailor their answers towards that a little bit. So I guess we're going to have to, I think it's going to be a while before all that gets shaked out, I guess is what I'm saying.
The Safari tab button has moved.
Mm-hmm.
What is, I've not had much experience on the iPhone. So what, had it moved to the top of the screen, the new tab button or something?
Yeah, and now it's at the bottom, so it's more convenient to access. And that goes along with other elements that have been moved to the bottom, like search bars. Like and this still gets me every single time. Like basically every search bar, at least in the Apple native apps for iOS 26, they're now at the bottom. But my eyes continue to look at the top of the screen because that's where the search bar used to be for years, and now I just need to remember, so many times I'm in shortcuts, right? And I'm like, I don't know, picking items from a list, and I'm trying to filter that list, and I'm looking for the search bar at the top, and I'm like, wait, where's the search bar? And then after a split second, I'm like, oh yeah, it's at the bottom now. So it's gonna take me a while to remember that a lot of things are at the bottom now, which is nice because they're more convenient, but you got a decade plus of muscle memory to fight there.
And the lock screen widgets, they moved to the bottom too, didn't they? I think.
Well, so the lock screen widgets, they move to the bottom if you make the clock giant, right?
Okay.
That happens if you make the time really big on your lock screen, which I did because it's fun.
So if I don't do that, they will stay at the top.
Yes.
I say that no. You see, I want them to move it to the bottom because I think that a lot of lock screen photos are ruined by the lock screen widgets. That's where faces are.
Yeah, in beta 2, even if you have the standard size, like you don't make the time really tall, you can still drag the lock screen widgets to the bottom.
Oh, that was not. Nice. That was not working in beta 1.
That's new in 2.
See, I think this is going to make people's lock screens look better.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Oh, nice. Yeah,
because,
I just did.
You know, like I had to do this recently where I had a photo that I wanted to use as a lock screen, but if I set it up, then Adina's face was covered with it. So I did an Adobe Content Aware fill thing. Steven did this years ago with a photo. He gave me the idea for it. And then I could make the photo really tall. Like just add a bunch of nonsense at the top. Well, nonsense is like it created a tree, and and now I've got like a great lock screen image because now the picture of my wife and my child are in the middle of the phone, and their face isn't covered by lock screen widgets and a clock.
Yeah, I did that with a photo of Mary in a hot dog suit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Make it
gave
taller.
me the idea.
Make it taller. Yeah, I think it's cool. I still would like more control over where things are on the lock screen. Like, I actually really like on the iPad, the lock screen would just go down the side. Like, I think that would be cool on the iPhone as well. Just like give me the maximum flexibility so I can work around my photos.
Mm.
Maybe I should blog about that.
Sure, why not? Might be a bit late at this point.
When you talk about the iPhone dock, how many icons do you have in your dock on your phone?
Obviously 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
4. And me too. I think most people do. Some people do 3. I experimented with 3 for a while, but it was kind of weird. It used to center them. And now, in beta 2 at least, they left align them. So there's just like an empty spot on the right. This feels like a bug to me. I don't think this is how
it's got to be a bug.
I don't think this is what
they're just making people pay the price for doing this.
I don't think this is going to stick.
Someone in Discord the other day said, what's the fix for this? Has anyone found a fix for this? And my response was, add another app to the dock.
Yeah, that's the fix.
That's how you fix this problem. You just add a 4th app. Look at that. You have access to another app. Why? I don't understand the 3. Like, just that you don't have no more apps? You have no more. You've run out of apps? There's just 3? And you're out of apps now? This is like when people used to leave the free row for swiping.
Oh, yeah. Who would do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
we all did it.
I did it for years.
We all did it.
We all did it. It was silly.
I did it for years. What's in the dock of your iPhones right now?
It's pretty much the same as it always is. So I got Todoist, Notion, Safari, Overcast.
Apple Music, Pocket Cast, Safari, and ChatGPT.
Back on Apple Music?
For now, I gotta use it.
Right. So it was Spotify there before, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still paying for Spotify because we have a family subscription. Yeah.
Messages, mail, Safari, camera.
Camera.
I got roasted in the Discord about this the other day.
Yeah, because you actually have a whole button.
Well, I do on one of my phones. My work phone doesn't have a camera control button, and so
do you take a lot of pictures on your work phone?
No, but I want the docks to be the same.
Then you just change them on both.
But then, like, I like the camera being launchable from the bottom right of the phone, and the icon is there,
which is next to the camera control button.
But the one phone doesn't have
past it. You have to go past the camera control button. Put on the other one. Put the camera on the bottom right row
of the home screen,
like literally next to where the camera control is.
I don't know what I would put in the dock. Like,
so tell me what you have there again.
Messages, mail, Safari, camera.
Show me a picture of your home screen.
Okay, I can't.
Federico, let's pick a 4th app for him.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my personal phone.
Yeah.
Hang on. I need to do something so I can put this in Discord so people can see it. I just need
he's got to obscure.
I've got to obscure secrets.
Spicy dreams.
Show and Finder. Open and I just need to block out I just need to block out the calendar. Okay, I'm putting this in Discord. This is my personal home screen on my phone. I'll put it in the show notes.
God, group me.
Overcast. A huge part of my life
in the
lives works on it.
Overcast or notes.
Yeah. Or photos.
So basically what we're saying is literally everything except phone, GroupMe, and unread.
Don't put GroupMe in there because GroupMe shouldn't be there at all. Other than that, I guess not phone. I can't believe you have phone on your home screen. All of the others are fine. Except, I'd say all the others are fine. But yeah, photos. So when I always had the camera on my home screen for similar reasons to you.
No, your reasons made no sense. You had that as a way to get into your photo library.
No, it was because it served two purposes. It was a way to either open the camera or get to the photo library. Just one more tap. So easy. I replaced it with the Photos app on my home screen when I got camera control. So you should put the Photos app in your dock, and then and then maybe even now you could actually remove the camera app completely, and then you've got a free space for something else.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's a big deal to change your dock.
Yeah, you're gonna be lost.
I know. Yeah, what would I move up? Then I got to promote something from the second screen.
Yeah, I had to make a big change when I took email off my phone, and that's when Notion found its way.
Yeah. So that's the dock. That feels like a bug. I think that'll resolve itself, I think. There are some reduced transparency and high contrast settings that they seem to have been tweaked a little bit.
These are the accessibility things. So high contrast draws a line around everything, which is kind of like macOS. Reduced transparency does more of what it says. It reduces the transparency further.
Okay, that's good. An interesting part, I think, of this beta that I just noticed today, literally as we were getting ready to record, I plugged a phone in, and on the lock screen above the time, for a moment, I don't know how to get it back, but it will give you the amount charged and how much time to, in this case, 80%. I think this phone is limited to 80% charging. So it said 56% charged, 23 minutes to 80%. This is very common on Android phones, and I'm really glad iOS 26 has added it.
Well, only if you can find it.
Only, I don't know how to get it back.
They showed it to you one time.
It was there for a second.
So it's good. It's good that you got to see it that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the alarm buttons?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they're too big,
this
right?
This is Chaos UI. I've thought this since I saw it. So Apple created a new thing called Alarm Kit, right? Which I'm not 100% sure what that is, except it just seems that third-party apps can make alarms that look like the alarms in the Alarm app.
You have described it.
It's just, but that's to me a very weird API in general. I find that peculiar. I was like, what's wrong with notifications? I guess maybe people. Anyway, this is a thing that's being added. But with that, they changed the look of alarms in general on the phone, and now it's like a huge text with the label of the alarm, and the snooze and stop buttons are now the same size and next to each other. I am absolutely going to hit stop every single time. And because I do it enough anyway, with the alarm button in the middle of the phone and then the stop button all the way at the bottom and tiny, they need to separate these.
Agreed.
They had the design right. If they want to make the buttons bigger, they can do that. I don't know why they need to do that. I actually think this is not good looking. I don't think this looks very good. But they from a user experience perspective, they got to separate those buttons, right?
Yeah, I think that's a regression. I think they should fix it. The other thing that's new in alarms is you can set a new snooze time. It's been 9 minutes. I think we talked about this. It's been 9 minutes forever. Now you can change that. But yes, this UI is really not good. They need to address this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should make the stop one smaller or much smaller, obviously. And
separate them.
Separated. That's the big thing. They're too close together.
Yeah. Look at us being designers.
Everyone is.
Yeah, we fixed it.
Or here's another thing you could do with this new alarm API. Let me share my alarms with someone. so I can't press the button. So somebody else has to press the button.
Oh,
there
wow.
you go. Now Myke will definitely get up.
Wait,
because like
so you would set an alarm for 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But your phone, I don't know what your phone would do, but if you shared it with me, my phone would go off at 9 a.m. to come get you?
No, only you could hit snooze or whatever. Or actually, this doesn't work. Basically, what believe it or not, this doesn't work. What I'm trying to do is create a scenario where my alarm makes me get out of bed, right? Where like I lose the ability to press the buttons. I guess actually, there's no snooze button, there's no stop button. My wife can press the stop button, but only when I'm up. You know?
Yeah. That's interesting to consider.
That's what I'm looking for. Apple, if you want some serious innovation in alarm design, you just give me a call.
Oh, man. There's some Mac-specific stuff beyond the Finder icon. There's now a setting in the menu bar part of Mac OS settings. Look at this Mac Rumors article. Like, man, settings, if you thought settings was ugly earlier, like, it's just so bad now. Show menu bar background, and you click it, and you get a menu bar. I was talking with somebody about this the other day, and they like the look of no menu bar background, just the icons floating up there. And I think it's fine depending on what your wallpaper is. If your wallpaper is busy, your menu bar icons kind of get lost. And so this is something that I will have on. I prefer having a background up there. But
okay, I'm willing to try it. Like I'm willing to try it. I think
the default, as far as I can tell, is still no background. So a couple other things. The migration assistant app icon got redone. I only mention it because I think it looks awesome. I think it's very fun.
All right. Okay. Where can we see it?
There's a Mac Rumors article. Everything new in macOS Tahoe Beta 2. Okay. It's a black icon with like an arrow going right. That's kind of silvery looking. I think it's nice.
Oh, nice.
And you have access to the AirPods beta firmware, which before this, I think, was just on the iPhone. So you can put betas on your AirPods if you want to. That was spotted, apparently, by Federico Trevisani.
Yeah.
So like
that's not me.
I don't know who that is. Like a fake Federico.
I thought you were doing a joke there that like Federico was the one, and you were like, "Oh, who is this Federico VTG? Who is he?"
No.
That's what I thought you were doing, but you weren't doing.
But
that.
it sounds like I got the pronunciation semi-close.
Kinda, yes.
I'll take it. Look, I'll take it.
Okay.
And then developers now have some tools in Beta 2 to test their apps against Rosetta 2. Rosetta 2 is going to be rolled phase out in macOS 28. So I don't really understand. Like, it's for like some games or something. It's kind of confusing. But at least there's a roadmap, and there's some new tools now to see if you're, maybe you're calling against Rosetta 2 without maybe knowing it. So there you go.
There you go.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Sentry. All right, founders, it's time to be honest. How much time is your team wasting on debugging? If you're like most startups, it's probably too much. Your team should be focused on shipping features, not chasing down bugs. And this is where Sentry comes in. It's a real-time monitoring and tracing platform, so you know exactly when something breaks, where it happened, and why. So there's no more 1 a.m. Slack threads or digging through endless logs. Now here's the game changer. Seer is Sentry's new AI debugging agent. It's like hiring an engineer who already knows your entire code base. Seer finds the true root cause 94% of the time and can even generate merge-ready pull requests, plus optional tests to prevent regressions. The bottom line here is that you ship faster and your team won't be drowning in bug alerts. And instead of grinding through logs, your developers are back to building the product. We use Sentry at Relay. We've used it for years on Neon, our custom CMS or content management system that powers the Relay website. So if something goes wrong in the application, I and our developer, who's a freelancer, he doesn't have a lot of time with us, we get an alert, we see exactly what's going on, and it makes it much easier to get a fix in place. Honestly, we would not run without Sentry. The good news is that you can get 3 months free of the team plan, which covers 150,000 errors. So check out the link in the show notes or go to Sentry.io. That's SENTRY, Sentry.io, and use the code CONNECTED, or again, check out the link in the show notes. Our thanks to Sentry for not only making it easier to manage our CMS, but also supporting the show and all of Relay. We put a call out for some questions in the wake of WWDC. So we got some questions and some kind of topics we want to go through from y'all. I'm going to start with some praise for us because it felt nice. Peter said, I want to let you guys know that the Connected post-event shows are my favorite way to get a recap of Apple events. All the picks in the 2 different games make it a great way to go over everything that has happened and in an organic way. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Peter.
It is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I find, I struggled with this when we first started doing the Rickies as like, this is how we're going to cover events. I struggled with it because we don't get to cover everything. But now I listen to shows that do it topic by topic or like linearly through time.
Sure.
Linearly.
Yes.
Linoleumly. And I like the way we do it too. And if we don't touch on something, we talk about it the next week. Like it's totally fine.
There's 3 months, right, until these things come out, and then they're out for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can cover it all eventually.
That's right. Adrian wrote, I don't like liquid glass as a name for the new design. We already have a name for transparent liquid, which has some of the properties of the new design elements. It's called water. Granted, it's a bad name. Maybe there's a fancier way to say water. Aqua was already taken.
H2UI.
Oh, that's good.
That's what I would not call it, but that's what you could call it. I think liquid glass has a good mouth feel.
Yeah, sounds nice.
You shouldn't put liquid glass in your mouth.
I mean, you shouldn't touch it either. Burn your hands off. But here's the thing. I like to say it. I think that it is very indicative of what the thing is, right? Like, I think you kind of get it, right? It's like, what if glass, but it moves? It is very designery. And I think a lot of people bump up against that for reasons that I understand. It's like very like, did you need to brand it? I don't know if it needed to be branded, right? Like, it's just the operating system UI. Like, I understand that maybe if you're trying to then explain it to developers, right, that you would maybe say, like, we call this look the liquid glass look, but like kind of like Aqua, right? My sense of Aqua was it was what the UI kind of style was called, but they, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, they didn't necessarily take a lot of time talking to users about Aqua.
They spent a lot of time, at least in the introduction.
Forget everything that I'm saying. This is the reason that they do it.
If only you had read a blog post called Revisiting the Aqua Introduction.
Stephen, I love you, and I know you spend a lot of time re-watching old keynotes. I don't always feel like I want that information. However, what you have proven to me here is I should have done it, shouldn't I?
Should have done it.
Oh, this is only yesterday. I mean, what do you want from me?
What are you doing? Holding a sleeping baby?
That's a great point.
Holding a crying
blocking.
baby?
Hey,
I'd be
look,
like,
he's blocking,
child,
okay?
You must wait. Stephen has written.
Uncle Stephen has a blog post, child.
From 25 years ago. Look at this video. It's like someone took a camcorder of a television. What is going on? Did you watch this? This is like unwatchable.
I did watch it.
Ooh, you shouldn't have said that. It's Steve Jobs. Can be unwatchable.
I'm so mean.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he's dead, dude.
I know,
yeah,
I'm speaking ill.
Have some grace,
ill.
you know.
Have some respect. Sorry. No, you meant the quality of the video.
I mean, who knows what I meant?
It's a little chunky, you know.
A little. It sounds like it's been. You remember that video that MKBHD did where he re-uploaded a video to YouTube?
Yeah, it gave me nightmares
100,000 times. It was like it's like halfway through that process is what this
gave me absolute nightmares. So they did talk a lot about it. They were very proud of it. And over time, that faded, right? They talked about Aqua a lot, and then occasionally they'd be like, oh, we've, like in Leopard, like, oh, we kind of unified the user interface. Do y'all remember? Y'all may not remember. There was a rumor going into Leopard that the UI was going to be called Marble. Remember this?
We obviously remember.
Steven.
Yeah, yes, we obviously
Steven.
do. Myke, we obviously do.
Here it is. Here it is. Arnold
October
Kim.
2007. What do you mean? Do
Arnold
you
Kim
remember?
writing.
Do you remember?
In
Just
October
throwing it out there.
2007, I was probably so high somewhere. I don't even know.
Based on our
yeah.
sources, Apple will apparently use Snow Leopard's release to tweak the overall user interface to unify it across all applications. This new theme will likely involve tweaks to the existing design and a flattening of Aqua in line with Apple's iTunes and iPhoto interface elements. The code name for this new interface is said to be Marble, though this seems to be an internal code name only. John Gruber has also hinted at such changes in a pre-Macworld prediction piece and has independently heard the code name Marble. This never happened. But
when you hear things like this, it makes me kind of sad because it's like, oh, it's just the same thing. We just do it around and around. Like we're 25 years, we just keep doing the same things over and over and over again. Here we are. It's the same people too, which is actually hilarious.
Yeah, it's
like, is this the same people? Like you could read that today and I'll be like, oh, is that for next year?
Marble. Yeah, didn't it happen?
Can I say something?
Please.
Yeah.
I have completely lost track of what we're talking about.
Me too. What are we talking about?
They don't like Google Glass is the name, but Aqua was already taken.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Maybe we move on. Read this question from
Marble.
And Marble.
What was Marble?
That was Leopard. Don't you remember, Federico? It was the
rumor.
code name for Leopard.
Right.
A rumor for Snow Leopard.
Rumored code name. Wasn't even necessarily the only rumored code name I remember is Marzipan.
Oh, yeah.
Marzipan. That was cute.
Because we talked about
Everyone
Marzipan
remembers that
for
one.
months,
Marzipan.
And that became Mac Catalyst.
which is a worse name.
Marzipan was so much better.
Well, actually, first it was just Catalyst, wasn't it? And then it became Mac Catalyst afterwards.
Hey, that's a good segue to our next question, Myke. Why don't you read the next question about Catalyst?
Brian says hi from Malaysia. Hi, Brian. Any thoughts on the possibility of Apple introducing some sort of reverse catalyst to enable Mac apps to run on the iPad? After all, with a menu bar, pointy pointer, and resizable windows in the new iPad OS, it could work from a UI perspective.
Sure.
Could also be a way to increase Pro apps on the iPad.
What do you think, Myke?
I mean, I see all of this, right? Like, I agree with all of this premise that, like, actually now is the first realistic time that you could do this, that the pieces are in place, the pointer being the most poignant one of them, right? Like, the iPad OS trackpad would not have worked with Mac apps. Like, it just wouldn't have worked. And there are parts of iPad OS now which the touch targets are supremely small, like the menu bar. I struggle to get the menu bar to do what I want with a trackpad, right? Like it is so small. So I feel like all the pieces are in place, but I think that the new windowing system shows that they have made a decision about the direction for the iPad, and it's not Mac, right? Like, because they could have just said, hey, iPad's still iPad, here's the Mac mode, it's got all this stuff in it. But now they've added all these things in to iPad OS, which to me feels less, I don't know, I just feel like now, especially after like reading like Federico's piece and like all the stuff that they've said about iPads since WWDC, it feels like more that they have a sense of where they want to go, and I'm not sure that I see that we're going to put Mac apps on it.
I think it's right. I think if anything, we're probably going to move. I don't think we're going to see a reverse Mac catalyst. I think if anything, we're going to see Apple slowly but surely move toward universal apps, in the sense that they're going to just blur the line between what's an iPad app, what's a Mac app, especially if, 2-3 years from now, we may be looking at bigger iPads that fold and unfold, or a MacBook with touch that also potentially unfolds. I think given all the similarities that we're going to see, rather than to say, well, let's just bring over Mac apps to the iPad, they're just make it so that you're not going to create two separate apps. You're not going to say, oh, this is an iPad target, or this is a Mac target. You're just going to write one desktop app, and it's got a flexible layout. If I were to bet on what they're doing, I think they would do universal apps. Essentially what they're doing with iPhone and iPad, but what if iPad and desktop?
Yeah, I think so too. That does kind of leave the initial question unanswered of like, what about apps that only exist on the Mac? And maybe it's that just doesn't change, or over
they
time
only exist on the Mac.
Yeah,
like
it
it
just
just
exists on the Mac.
remains the same. Yeah.
You can kind of, the way I've kind of started thinking about this is like nesting dolls. Like you have watch apps at the center, the tiny nesting doll. And then there's iPhone apps, and they're kind of like big and small versions of each other. And then from the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, like it could be the same app but different sizes, right? The same doll but different sizes. And then at the top, where the analogy breaks down, you have Mac only, kind of the outer shell. And honestly, I think Apple's, yes, honestly, I think Apple's fine with that. I don't see Apple wanting to do away with Mac only applications. Like there's no reason for them to do that. But they do want the Mac to benefit from the wealth of applications on the iPhone and iPad. That's why we have Catalyst in the first place. It's why Apple Silicon Macs can run iOS and iPadOS software if the developers allow them to. And so the Mac can kind of benefit from all of those other platforms and the innovation happening there. And I don't think there's really any reason for it to go the other way.
Brad says, at WWDC this year, I didn't see much talk about the Passwords app that launched last year. Were there any updates made this year? And are you guys currently using it?
I'm not using it anymore. There was something that I saw about Passwords that is new this year.
Version history.
And version history, thank you.
That's a good feature.
Yeah. So you can see past edits. This is huge. I use 1Password, and it's a huge feature for me. Is like, oh, I changed a password, but maybe it didn't reset, or like I saved the wrong thing or something. It's great.
Or I've done it where, I think that's what you're saying, actually. Sorry. Like I've made the change and didn't save it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant? Like it's like and so then you get lost. It's like, oh, actually, I need the previous version of the password that's in 1Password because I never actually changed it on the website. I just changed it in 1Password. So like stuff like that is a very good feature. It's a very good feature.
Yeah.
I use 1Password as well. I mean, like just for me, like I understand people using the Passwords app, but like I have 3 vaults shared with different people. Like I'm just not going into that world. Like I don't need to change. Like 1Password creates frustrations for me in points, but I also know that the Password app would too, and they'd just be different ones. So like I'm not really willing to change myself.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron asks, hang on. First of all, did y'all see the thing? I think it was on Threads about someone like vibe coded a password manager. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a great idea if you want to steal a bunch of passwords. Not that I'm saying this person is doing that, but like if you wanted to, that's a good way to do it, I guess.
Oh, and then they productized it. That's what it is. I built and launched a password manager for my family in 7 days.
Cool.
Don't do it. Don't use that. Aaron asks, how do you find going to WWDC feels outside the events now compared to the San Francisco years? Are there still enough community opportunities and events, or does it feel lacking? I would say that I would kind of restructure Aaron's question a little bit. I really view WWDC in 3 phases, like in the current era. There was San Francisco, there was San Jose, and now there's Apple Park, like the post-COVID version where it's one day and it's like 1,000 developers and there's nothing else in person in terms of labs or sessions. I really liked when it was in San Jose. I know San Jose is small, there's less to do, but also made it really easy to run into people. And there were still other events, like we were doing a live show, other people were doing live shows. There were other conferences running in parallel, and all of that, most of that is completely gone after COVID. And that's a bummer.
Yep. I loved and miss WWDC in San Jose so much. I love the format. I love that it was a kind of a boring town, but it sort of came alive during the week of WWDC. It was perfect to run into people. Apple Park is beautiful. Apple Park is great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a nice place, but you just don't get that social aspect anymore. They have the visitor center where you can sort of meet people, but it's always kind of weird, especially if you are a member of the press. You are in an area that is just for press people. You're basically in a pen that's cordoned off from developers, and so you gotta always be on the lookout if somebody walks by. You can go upstairs, but there's not enough tables to sit down and charge your computer or something. Walking around is not really an option because I mean Tantau Avenue, there's traffic during the week, and so like it's not a great hangout place outside of Apple Park, and there's really nothing else going on outside of Apple Park beyond the visitor center.
Yeah, Apple Park's in a neighborhood. Like if you've never been, you drive through like a residential neighborhood to get there.
Yeah.
And at least in San Jose, the event center, the downtown wasn't very big, but there was the event center, there were some hotels, there were some restaurants, and there used to be a coffee shop. Like there were places to congregate.
It was at least downtown. You were at least downtown.
You were at least downtown, and there was like the food court place, right, with all the restaurants, and then there was that other street with a bunch of other restaurants, and then of course there was the McCartney Convention Center where there was plenty of place to hang out outside of the convention center. I miss, and I continue to share this feedback with Apple PR. I really do miss the social aspect of WWDC, but increasingly, it feels like they're just limiting the activities. At the very least, this year there was the movie, so we got to see a bunch of people before and after the movie.
Oh, can you talk about that? Can you talk about how it looked and sounded? Because I'm sure it was incredible.
It sounded incredible, and it looked incredible inside the Steve Jobs Theater. They have a fancy sound system.
Yeah. I know I went to the iPhone event a couple years ago, and that was incredible, but it was a keynote video, right? Like, it was amazing as the iPhone swooped in and, like, the bass shook the building, but then the rest of it was just people talking.
I think I heard once somebody say that there is, like, at least a woofer or some part of an independent sound system in every seat.
That's awesome.
I heard from somebody that the Steve Jobs Theater, the sound system, was designed to like adapt dynamically to different types of content, in a very fancy way that I cannot re-describe because I don't know the words. But something like that. But it's basically very, very like big money fancy, essentially. And it sounded great. I mean, the cars sounded fantastic. But yeah, I miss San Jose. I miss the social aspect. Apple Park is beautiful, but I would prefer to see the people than Apple Park. And it's hard to see the people.
I want to give a shout out for the San Francisco years. They were the most... When we went to San Francisco, I had the most fun. Like, I think it may have been because I was younger and dumber then.
But you were less famous.
We used to just run around, sometimes drink too much, and be out real late. Like, it was that they were fun years, like especially right at the beginning. And plus, you're in San Francisco, which is fun. This stuff, right? Like, we used to drive all over to see a bunch of companies. We went to Alcatraz one time.
We did Alcatraz one time.
Yeah, like me and Steven made the bad decision of walking across the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was maybe the coldest I've ever been in my life. It was, it was fun. Like I like the city of San Francisco, and it was fun to be there. And like you're in like a big city, because like San Jose, it was nice that everyone was like close together, but my God, there's nothing like. It's unbelievable. Like, to call it a downtown, like, you're really stretching it. It's just that like there's hotels close to each other, and that was like essentially all there was. Like, there was just nothing there, like nothing. But having successfully completed one WWDC at Apple Park, I did do that one where it was really small, like really, really small, like it was just one room. I don't know if you guys were at that WWDC. Where it was just one room in San Jose. Do you remember that one? It's when I had COVID. It was my COVID WWDC.
I was
very small.
Yeah, I was there.
That was very small. Yeah, but it was you wouldn't see me. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, I saw you from
refused.
across like the street because you had COVID and I didn't want
to see me. Refused to see me. It was
that's
horrible. Very sad. Very sad. Very sad. And so yeah, but what I noticed from the Apple Park here is there's nowhere to go. Right? There's nothing. We found this nice little area. I've forgotten the name of it now, which had like a mall and a bunch of like coffee shops. So there are nice little spots, but they're not right there. And you can't get everybody around. Like everyone's staying in the hotels that are around Apple Park, and around Apple Park there's nothing. So
that's true.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
And the final thing I will say is that I also missed the Bash, the concert. That was fun.
But they stopped doing that. Because they did do it, didn't they?
No.
At least one of them?
No. They stopped in San Jose. No?
I don't think they brought it back after COVID. It did happen in San Jose, I think.
Oh, it was that Panic at the Disco concert was one of the most fun moments I've had, as an adult, doing ostensibly what was a work week. Me and James Thompson, it was incredible. Yes.
Yeah, it looks like the Bash ended in 19 with, Weezer in 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't remember that one.
Yeah. Oh, well.
That was fun. Questions are fun.
Yeah.
I think that does it this week, though.
I think so.
I think so, too.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find links to stuff we spoke about, check out your podcast player, or they're on the web at relay.fm/connected/558. There's a link to leave feedback or follow-up. So if you have a question or something you want to share with us, drop it in there. And you can also get Connected Pro. There's a link in the show notes. Or you can go to getconnectedpro.co. Connected Pro is the longer ad-free version of the show that we do each and every week. It is $7 a month. You get a longer show, no ads. But you also get a lot of perks from Relay. So access to our Discord, a newsletter, some members-only podcasts. It's a great deal. Go check it out. We would love your support. And that does support us directly. So those of you who are members, thank you. You can find Federico's work at macstories.net, where he is the editor-in-chief. Lots of great stuff going on over there. Myke hosts many other shows here on Relay, and you can check out his work at Cortex Brand. You can find my writing at 512.
And he's writing at theenthusiast.net.
Yeah, I need to add that to my template at the bottom. I'm doing that right now.
I appreciated how enthusiastic you were, Federico.
Yes.
Oh, that's
He's got the energy going. It's the energy.
By
the way, the name of the place that I'm thinking of is Santana Row.
Ah, okay.
It's not close. It's like 15 minutes away from Apple Park, but it was a really nice little area with a lot of nice food and restaurants and coffee shops and stuff. And
there we go.
It was one of those places where you see a bunch of podcast advertisers in one place. One of those kind of malls.
Got it. Myke's a blogger. Go read his blog.
Myke's a blogger. Yeah.
He's brought it back.
Thanks to me.
Yeah. You can find my writing at 512pixels.net, and I co-host Mac Power Users here on Relay each and every Sunday. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Ecamm and Sentry, for their support of the show. And until next time, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.